y'all. So now let's move on. Let's talk about Miss Katy Perry, who is struggling. She's on the struggle bus in regards to, this whole Lifetime's world tour. Now, I'm sure that she's going to do gangbusters overseas. Europeans, I could throw shit at a wall and y'all go pay money to go see it in an arena or a stadium. And that's no shade. I'm just saying. There is a little bit of shade up in it. But in America, it seems like we might be a little fickle. Americans are a little wishy-washy when it comes to who they will support and who they won't support. And a lot of people apparently over in the U.S. did not like Lifetimes. It felt like there was no evolution, no kind of anything. I tell you, like, when it comes to Katy Perry and her style of music, I've always said, like, she gives me, you're like 40 years old doing Kids Bop tracks. So there's no evolution with a lot of stuff that you do. But according to the U.S. Sun, she has yet to fill 70% in some locations. Oh, but you already know I come with receipts, so I do got the blueprint. I got the pictures of a lot of the blue seats that are available. So the 40-year-olds tour tickets went on sale on January 29th, and while some of the venues in the biggest cities like New York City seem to be selling more adequately for the former American Idol host, several stops and small locations are faring much worse. Now, I don't want to throw shade at my job. Shout out to Madison Square Garden. You know I live for y'all, but it's not that hard. I was going to say it's not really that hard, depending on who it is, that they could sell out the Garden. I think it would be in certain cases, but for the most part, when it comes to a Katy Perry or whatever the case is, she's going to sell out them nice. Now, the one I'm really I'm worrying about is Dula Peep, because I believe Dula Peep is doing 4 nights. I have not heard what the sales are on them tickets. If they've done, she's going to be doing 4 nights, and y'all do not like radical optimism. So I don't know if y'all got a little too ambitious with her. I can understand if y'all did 1 night with her, but 4, I'm a little worried on that. And that's supposed to be in September when she's doing her tour. So now, one look at Ticketmaster's site for sales in Minneapolis's Target Center, I should say, shows a sea of blue dots denoting empty seats available for purchases in the arena. Now, I do have that picture. There it is. Look at all that blue. That's all the seats that's available. Now, they said the Minneapolis May 13th date has also fast approaching. Yeah, because March is literally in 3 days. The Ball Arena in Denver, Colorado, whose May 15th date is also around the corner, still looks pitifully empty. Now, at the Lenovo Center in Raleigh, North Carolina, the scene looks just as grim, with easily over 60% of tickets still available. Now, at the Kia Forum in Inglewood, California, just a few sections have been fully sold, with the vast majority of upper-level seating open and available still, and a large portion of the lower level up for grabs as well. Now, tickets for the Lifetime tour went on sale on January 28th. They also said that Katy Perry upset fans with her decision to work with Dr. Puke on her latest album 143. So they feel like that may have also played a role in why the album is flopping. Number one, she decided to work with Dr. Puke, which I do agree with. Of all the producers in the world, why would you go back and work with this man that Kesha has said many a thing about, and regardless of how y'all feel in this situation, whether you believe it or not, I feel like his name and contributions to music has been tainted. So then you go, because you so desperate for a damn hit, and because not only did 143 flop, but your previous albums flopped too. None of y'all like Smile, and some of the other records. Witness, y'all didn't like that one either. Why this is Kevin? I didn't like Witness, because that was the part where she was trying to get all deep. And we all know that Katy Perry is about as deep as a pond. So her trying to be all transparent and relatable wasn't working. So back to the Kids Bop formula. I'm going to be dancing on stage with sharks, singing California Girls in a bikini and, a little short skirt, and distract y'all with the buffoonery because my songs are outdated. So now, after a long protracted court battle with lawsuits and countersuits, Dr. Luke and Kesha, released a joint statement in 2023 announcing they had settled the matter privately instead of going through a trial. Now, in September, this also, I think, bit her in the behind. When she went on the Call Her Daddy podcast, And Alex Cooper, the host, asked her point blank about her decision to work with Dr. Puke. And despite the allegations against him, and fans were unimpressed by her response because she said, I know a lot of people have expressed disappointment and were really upset that you decided to involve Dr. Luke on this album. Katy tried to wiggle her way out of the answer, with an answer. She tried to wiggle her way out of the situation with this answer. She basically said that Dr. Luke was one of the many collaborators, as she insisted the album came from her inspirations alone. But you needed Dr. Luke's Midas touch, which clearly everything he touches now turns to shit instead of gold, to help you get to where you need to get and then get there. So I hope the risk was worth it, sis. And she said she wrote the songs from her experience of my whole life going through this metamorphosis. Now, whatever that metamorphosis is, I don't know if it was a metamorphosis or the drag queen Maddie-morphosis, but she said she was going through something, and we still trying to figure out what the hell it was because it wasn't giving when we listened to the music. The songs sound too short, unfinished, and uninspired. She then tried to explain Dr. Puke was just one person whom she collaborated with in the past. It also is her first album since she gave birth to her daughter Daisy Bloom, who she shares with Orlando Bloom, the actor. And the pop star's inability to provide a clear response, pissed the fans off, saying so much was said, yet none of it justifies working with Dr. Luke. This is what one person said on the Twitter. Another person said, so she basically didn't answer the question. Of course, she answered the question with a non-answer. Now, another person says she literally says she worked with him because she wanted to. Oh, yikes. At this point, just don't speak. Exactly. And so, yeah, let me show y'all this other picture of Raleigh, North Carolina. So, yeah, that's the Raleigh, North Carolina date or venue. All that blue that you see up in here, those are all the seats that's available. So, I'm sure this tour will be cute or whatever. I'm sure she's got a lot of things planned, but it just goes to show that maybe what she should have did, and now I feel like this is Jennifer Lopez all over again, where y'all pretty much set her up to fail. Now, I feel like in Europe, she's guaranteed to sell out and stuff because they love all the pomp and circumstance of all the, the glitz and the shininess and the costumes and the dancing and all that other stuff. So Katy Perry will do fine overseas. However, in America, I feel like she would have either worked better as picking certain venues, like certain cities. Maybe she could have just did like New York and Chicago and DC and Vegas and all the others, like the city areas. Not no damn Raleigh, North Carolina. Who's spending money to go see her? So, especially when we have so many artists coming out that's going to be touring this year. There's a lot of tours that's going to be happening in 2025. We got Beyonce about to go on tour, charging people $4,000 to see her behind Do the Hold Down. I'm sure Lady Gaga, in addition to the Rio event that she's doing for free and Coachella, that she's going to be announcing a tour, probably late this year or into next year. I don't know. So there's a lot of big names that are talking about going on tour. Like I told her, Dula Peep doing a tour, Tate McRae's doing a tour. There's a lot of people that's going to be out here touring. Mary J. Blige got a tour coming up in April. So there's a lot of artists out here that are going to be doing a thing this now and until the summer, late summer into the fall, whatever the case is. Katy Perry should have probably waited until 2026 to push this tour. And she did say, I will preface this, because I believe somebody, I'm trying to remember, this was sent, it was a video I saw on TikTok. I don't know if somebody tagged me into it or whatever. But there was a video, I think Onyx may have sent it to me if I'm not mistaken, but there was somebody that pretty much was saying like, she did say she was going to be singing all the hits, which was the difference between her and Jennifer Lopez. Remember, Jennifer said, oh, we doing This Is Me, the live or whatever the case is. They was we asked for This Is Me now, then next week, next year, a couple of years from now. We ain't asked for that. And you trying to sell this dry ass album in the form of a tour. Then she tried to rejudge it to This Is Me live, the hits. Because we just going to do the hits. We're not going to give y'all others. And then people was like, we don't believe you because you said that we was going to get this thing And now because y'all want to save face and sell tickets, now you want to change it. But then y'all might try to slide into the set list a couple of them dry ass songs from that recent album you came out with that we ain't asked for. Katy Perry came out immediately and said, "Oh no, we doing the hits." Then we'll probably throw in a couple of you know, deep cuts or whatever the case is. So there was all of that. I'm like, okay. Still ain't convincing enough to want to pay money to see it. And when I saw her perform when she closed out Jingle Ball, she was all right. The backing track was louder than her actual singing voice, but for the most part, she was doing what she was doing. A lot of people was leaving too. And it could have been a mix of they didn't want to see her perform. And then also on top of that, by the time she hit the stage, it was literally like a lot of people was coming from New York. I mean, like they're taking New Jersey Transit. New Jersey Transit cuts off at a certain time. If you stuck in the city after 12, you are literally here till 5 in the morning. That's when the next train comes. Or, for some people, it's the Long Island Railroad. So, and then there's the trains are few and far between with that because I work with a lot of security and a lot of people that's at the garden that lives out in Long Island and stuff. So I don't understand. Ain't nobody trying to have restless children out here from Jingle Ball doing, this other stuff with the waiting of the trains and things. So that was another thing that I think hurt her. But also when I was like watching her do up there perform, I was like, okay, it's all right. Katy's yeah. she's doing what she does, the bare minimum. But she's been around a longer time, so it is what it is. But it just seems like the people don't care. And unfortunately, that's unfortunate. So I feel like, you know what? You should have probably just did a couple of cities in New York, in America, or did a residency in New York. Or not even in New York, in the US for like maybe a couple of months. Similar to like what the Backstreet Boys are doing with the Sphere. I would have did that. I would have been like, after the Backstreet Boys did what they did with the Sphere, I'd do a couple of dates at the Sphere in the US. That would have been perfect. Or like I was saying, just do like a lot of the cities. Philly, New York, LA, Chicago, DC. You could have just did a couple of those. But a lot of you artists, y'all got too much pride. Y'all don't want to make it seem like, oh, well, yeah, I'm bigger overseas and not as big in the United States. Who cares? As long as you get something out of it. I don't care if I'm not the biggest artist here. If I can get to live my life in Europe and be big and I could be a little bit anonymous in America and just go through life not having to be bombarded by by paparazzi or, other things going on or crazy fans. I take my anonymity in America over having to go overseas and be a bigger star. I can just deal with that there. But then in America, I get my peace of mind. So I say all this to say, what do y'all think of this story regarding Katy Perry and her ticket sales not doing so well? I'm sure what they'll do is they'll drop the ticket prices down to probably like $15 to $10, and trust and believe, to fill up them seats, they will sell them tickets out. So unfortunately, she'll have to take a big loss in regards to them trying to bring down them prices. But it's the price you pay if you want to do the arena, and you trying to sell tickets. The people don't care enough. Drop them prices, sis. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below.